Welcome to the Social Engineer Podcast. This is the SE Etc. series, episode 228. They keep growing. We're flying, Patrick. I can't believe we're at 228. I'm Chris Hadnagy, CEO and founder of Social-Engineer LLC, the Innocent Lives Foundation, and the Institute for Social Engineering. And I've been hosting this podcast since way back in 2009, way before I even knew Patrick. But since this is the dumpster dive of all podcasts about social engineering, I have my lucky famous dumpster diving buddy, Patrick Laverty, with me in this episode and every episode of the SE Etc. Patrick, thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me. This is a whole lot of fun. Like Chris said, my name is Patrick Laverty. I'm the senior team lead here at Social Engineer with a dash in the middle there, LLC, where I get to run and work with a team of incredible professional certified social engineers. And we also have a little bit of an anniversary happening here, Chris, as well. One thing that I just noticed, this is my 12th episode. 12th monthly episode that I've done with you on these. So this is pretty exciting to actually have been doing this for a year now. This is awesome.
Wow. We've done a year's worth of episodes. That's kind of amazing.
Already. It feels like just yesterday that
it really does.
Like, let's come up with some other podcast idea.
Yeah, that's exciting. That's exciting, Patrick. Well, happy anniversary to us.
You. To my paper anniversary. I think it's papers first. I don't know.
I don't know what it is, but we're not getting divorced yet, so I like it. Okay. Few housekeeping announcements. If you are looking for any type of information on adversarial simulations, you don't know what that is. It's what everyone else in the industry calls them pen tests, but we start calling them adversarial simulations. We feel that fits a much better description for what it is that we do. Then you need to go check out our website, social-engineer.com. We know right now everything is focused on the breaches that are going on, and every day something's getting breached. If you're worried about your company and wanting to see how well your people might defend against social engineering attacks, the best way to do that is to work with a company that understands how humans make decisions and use that knowledge to help secure your human firewall. So give us a shout out on the website. Check it out. And I have another exciting announcement. MLSE, Master's Level Social Engineering. We have never done this before. Every year since we've taught it, it's always been closed and only invites to previous students of other classes. We're trying something new by request. We've had a lot of people request this, that we open it up to the public. So if you're sitting here wondering, where can I find a red teaming course, a real red teaming course? Not talking about reading a book about red teaming. I'm talking 5 full days of actual breaking into buildings, actually picking locks, actually interacting with complete strangers that don't know they're part of this course, getting to steal cell phones, getting to do all sorts of crazy stuff. Then you need to come check out Master's Level Social Engineering on the website. Sign up for it. There's, I think, only 10 slots left, and it will be in October 23rd through 27th. So if you're interested in taking that class, get signed up really quick. Okay, a couple other housekeeping announcements. If you're interested in the topic of social engineering, you want to join our Slack channel. We have, I think, over 1,500 people in there now every day talking about different aspects of social engineering, from the psychology to how to use it, pretexting. I think Patrick even runs a group once in a while that gets together over, not physically, of course, but over virtual means to practice conversation elicitation skills. Quite amazing. We've even had 10 people find jobs through the Slack channel because we have a whole job board on there. Companies can post when they're looking. And of course, you can post if you're a person looking, and you may find a match. We've had 10 people do that. So really exciting. If you can't find the link in the show notes down below, just hit Patrick or I up on LinkedIn or one of the other social medias, and we will be more than happy to get you in there. Patrick's very, very active. Also want to take a moment to invite everyone who is listening to go check out the Innocent Lives Foundation on the website, innocentlivesfoundation.org. If you are not familiar with that group, for 6 years now, a group of volunteers and very small group of employees have been working hard to help put a stop to child exploitation. The way we do that is we work closely with law enforcement to geolocate people who are hurting kids or creating child abuse material and get them handed over to appropriate law enforcement agencies. We're not a vigilante group, so we don't do the things you might see on Facebook, like making believe we're a 13-year-old girl or something like that. We actually use legitimate means in order to help stop this crime. And today, the topic of the podcast is going to be all about that. So go give us some love. Check out that website. If you want to volunteer or if you want to support us through donations, you can do that at innocentlivesfoundation.org. And some exciting news about ILF is we have our first gala coming up September 23rd. Wait, when does it come out, Patrick? Am I giving you false news, fake news? Nope. It comes out. Guess what, guys? The gala just happened. You missed it. If you're hearing this announcement and you didn't come, you missed it. And you missed a lot because LeVar Burton was there. So you should have come out and hung out with us. But if you were there and you're hearing this, then congratulations to you. You were smart. You came out and supported ILF. But check the website because we'll have information about our next event. We have some really exciting things coming up for ILF. I mean, some really exciting things, especially if you like whiskey. So you should check out some of the new fundraisers that we'll have, and there'll be some really cool things going on there. And if you really enjoy the music that you hear on this show before and after, then it is one only Clutch. You know, it's the best rock and roll band on the planet Earth. We love Clutch. You love Clutch. And if you don't, you're going to love Clutch because I'm saying it. You love Clutch. Okay. Go listen to them. pro-rock.com. Best way to ingest Clutch is live. So go hit one of their shows. They're big supporters of ILF. We love those guys. And I've been a fan since I was a wee little lad. Okay. Patrick, what else do we got? One other announcement I keep forgetting to mention, and then Dorian gets mad at me. We have a lot of people who come into the Slack with feedback and want episode information or give us ideas for future. We want you to keep doing that, but you can also put them in the comments, especially on our YouTube channel where these podcasts are listed. If you like what you're hearing, give us a thumbs up or a like. Click on that no matter what platform you're on. And if you have ideas for future episodes or questions that we can answer, put them down in the comments below. We always answer them. We interact with people who comment there, and we take your suggestions very seriously. So we are excited to see what you have to say about this episode and future ideas. Okay, let's get to our topic at hand. So before you give us a topic, Patrick, because it's always you who comes up with it, I want to introduce our guest, because in this episode, this series, we don't normally have a guest. But we have a really special guest here today, a very close personal friend of mine that I've known for many years. And he actually is the COO at ILF. Now, Shane's been in the industry for 25 years, and that's not child protection, but the tech industry for 25 years. So he knows a lot about how to work with technology and run technology companies. And he's applied all of those decades of experience into helping with project management over at the Innocent Lives Foundation. He's also been involved in nonprofits for a while. He supports Autism Hope Alliance, as well as, of course, us at the ILF, and has been with me for what, Shane? Are we going on 5 years now?
Just about to hit 5 years.
Just about to 5 years. Crazy, isn't it? So Shane, welcome to the show. Glad to have you here today.
Thank you. I am really happy to be here.
Patrick, give us the lowdown. What are we talking about?
All right. Well, do you remember the end of last month's episode where I fully explained everything that we were going to talk about this month?
Yeah, that happens never, by the way.
That never.
Never. You never do it.
It will probably never happen, except maybe this month. This month, we might tell people what we're talking about next month. So we'll see. You got to hang on. You got to listen to this whole episode to find out. All right. So what are we talking about this month? What's really interesting is, if you're not aware, us at Social Engineer here, we have 4 podcasts we put out each month. So Chris has been putting out podcasts, like he said, since 2009. And he has podcasts where he talks to CSOs. He has podcasts where he talks to thought leaders in the industry. We also have a podcast that is called The Doctor is In with Dr. Abby Maronio, where she talks about the science of social engineering. So those were like 3 easy ideas that we came up with for a podcast. And then we figured, well, there's 4 weeks in a month. That's only 3 podcasts. We need something else. What else should we talk about? And that's where Chris and I came up with this awesome idea.
You say Chris and I. It's more Patrick. Patrick's the brains here. Okay. I'm just the looks. Not even that. I don't know what I am.
So we came up with the 4th idea, the Social Engineering Etc. or SE podcast, or like we enjoy referring to it as, the dumpster dive of podcasts, because you never know what you're going to get. And just like you suggested a little while ago, if anybody has any topic that they want us to talk about, let us know. We've already had episodes in the past where we have taken people's suggestions and talked about those. So what are we talking about this month? Well, one of the things that Chris and I were just kind of having a conversation the other night, and it hit us like a lightning bolt out of the sky about something that we should do that we haven't done before. It involves the Innocent Lives Foundation. And one thing that we want to do is we want to really help children and their parents understand what is going on online. We want to let them know what sorts of things can you look out for? How can you protect yourself online? And being with the Innocent Lives Foundation, you probably hear about victims of these types of events and attacks. And we can also talk a little bit about what people should do if they are victimized by one of these attacks. So maybe we should start out. Should we ask Shane just to kind of give us a little bit more of an overview about Innocent Lives Foundation and the kind of work that's being done?
Sure. So at the ILF, the Innocent Lives Foundation, we really have almost two portions of our work. So one portion, of course, is identifying these child predators. They think they can hide behind a username. And of course, we all here know that they can't always do that. And so when they can't always do that, that's why we're here, figure out who they are in real life and get them handed over to law enforcement. The other part, though, is exactly what we're talking about today. And that is how, as a parent, as a caregiver, what are the things to look out for? What should be raising yellow flags in your child's life, or especially red flags that are really, you should really be paying attention to? And the truth is, this is an ongoing thing. Things are always changing and adjusting. New tools, new apps are coming out. The kids are always into the next thing. And so it's a bit of a moving target. So that's why having these conversations is really, really important. And that bringing this awareness forward to help parents and caregivers is a huge part of what we do.
So really, I think maybe the first question then is like, is it possible for kids to actually protect themselves online? And how, and if it is, how can they do that?
Yeah, of course it is. The challenge is we teach our kids safety about all types of things, right? So we're never going to, oh, you turned 16, here's keys, good luck, right? It never happens. Why? Because it's crazy. We know that. They have to be trained. Why do we then turn around and go, oh, you're 6 years old, here's an iPad, good luck. And we put them out on the internet. So we have to train our children. And for a lot of parents, it's a really challenging thing because if we're being honest with ourselves, most of our kids know more than we do when it comes to the apps that they use. And that is a big part of the challenge. To directly answer your question, yes, they can be safe, but that starts with you, the parent and the caregiver.
So, thanks for that clear answer, Shane. So I guess, as a parent, what should a parent know about this? Because like you said, I think it's easy to see that, the younger generation are definitely very technically savvy. I mean, even though I work in technology, my daughter will teach me things about new apps or new social media or things that are on current social media that I've never heard of. So, like how can parents possibly join in protecting their kids if they're not technically savvy?
And that question is perfect because it's just, yesterday I just found out a new app that was being used in schools. And apparently the kids have been using it for a couple of years here and there, but it's just starting to come to our consciousness as parents. So the key to that is you are never going to keep up with everything yourself. So you have to narrow the field of what you're focusing on. And what you should be focusing on is what your kids are focused on. So ask them to teach you, hey, what are the apps that you're using? Tell me why you like this. What's new in this field? And really allow them to teach you. Once they teach you what they're looking at, what they're interested in, then as a parent, now instead of having this huge wide field to try to consume, now you just focus right in on exactly what your kids need.
What do we do if our kids don't want to tell us? Like, what if we ask the question and the kids are like, I don't want to tell you what apps I'm on? Then what?
Well, that's where building communication with your kids is. Look, conversation is an art and trust is built up over time. Yeah. And so that's why you have to have an ongoing relationship with your kids. You can always start, but start as soon as you can, especially with this conversation. Yeah. But don't hesitate to start because you may feel like it's late. You have to have the conversation. You have to develop the trust. So what's one thing that you could do that may encourage your kids to trust you even more? Step one, what's important to them? Again, one of the things is ask them the question, hey, what can I do not to embarrass you online? So go ahead, give them the opportunity, put them in the driver's seat, tell you how to behave. Now, because, as parents, look, we're all proud of our kids. We do stupid, goofy things, and it just embarrasses them horribly. We have no intent, but that's what happens. So start the trust with you and be sure that the kids, you are giving them a reason to trust you.
I don't think I've ever embarrassed my kids. Okay, I'll stop. Go ahead, Patrick.
So Shane, I think when I was growing up, and I'm guessing when most adults listening to this were growing up, they probably had the same thought of who the bad guys are, that they're, the weird looking person down in the van that you need to be worried about, or the person that's walking around in the mall talking to kids. Now that has completely moved online. And I think that there's probably people who don't really recognize that. And one of the things that I've tried to instill with my child is an old internet saying of, on the internet, nobody knows you're a dog, which basically means that you really don't know who you're talking to. You might be literally talking to a dog. And do we see, or in your experience, do we see that these predators that you investigate are on children's games, the things like the Roblox, on the things like Fortnite, maybe even like My Little Pony games? Are they in those types of places as well, looking for children?
Yeah. So if you put yourself in the place of the predator, their goal is to find a kid anywhere they can, and they're going to go to wherever the kids are. Whatever that app is makes no difference. They have no rules. They have no boundaries. And so they are going to chase the kids wherever they can find them. So essentially, if it is an app that is online and you can have communication back and forth, odds are you're going to find a predator there. And that's just all there is to it.
And what ways can children best protect themselves when they are in those environments? Because so many of those online games are largely based on social and communication and talking with others. That's part of the game. So how can the children protect themselves from the predators who are on there as well, trying to build up some of that rapport with them in that social building?
So there's a lot of fundamental things depending on the age of the child. If the child is younger and you're choosing to allow them to communicate with people online, you can choose to set rules for your family. You cannot talk with anyone or play with anyone online if you have not met them in real life. As they get older, that's going to be harder to work with. So now, what do you do now that they're older? Then you be sure as a parent that you have an opportunity to look over their shoulder, or where are the conversations staring to? Is there intent that you see as an adult with some experience in life the child isn't going to necessarily pay attention to because they're too involved in the game? Do you see someone trying to steer the conversation away and into a different app where they can be alone and private? As if it were the real world, would you let your child go into a private room or another private area, or leave the building altogether with someone and you didn't know who they were? Why are you going to do that online? So these are things that as a parent and even as a child, you instill this thought process into them. As you said before, Patrick, could be a dog. You don't know who you're talking to. In fact, they'd probably be safer if they were talking to a dog.
Most likely. So, I'm thinking about this and trying to apply it to like my own kids, right? And one thing I know is like, even though my daughter was not doing anything bad, let's say, but she never wanted me to see her conversations. They were private. They were with her friends, right? So it could be just, my dad made me mad today. And it wasn't anything sexual. It wasn't anything awful.
Right.
It was private. So as these kids get older and we have conversations, one of the arguments I've heard is that having conversations like what you suggested with our kids actually victimizes them or hurts them. Is that true? That talking to our kids about these online dangers, the sextortion and these things is actually going to harm our kids more than help them?
Absolutely not. My child wants to learn to swim. Okay, it's kind of like the car illustration. I'm not going to toss them in and say good luck. They have to understand the rules about what it is they're trying to do. The conversation has to be age appropriate.
Yeah.
So, and that's something that as an adult we may run into. We may want to tell them everything and just start. No, what is it that your child needs to know? What is appropriate for them, and not just their age, but also their thought process. We've seen some children who have been put in harm's way and they're in their late teens, but emotionally they're nowhere close to that. Yeah. And so you have to, it's just not age appropriate conversations, but having them not know what's going on out there is vastly more dangerous than you teaching them how to be safe.
I guess the question that I had off of that, Shane, is what is going on out there? Because if we go back to what I was describing before, like from my childhood, the fear was actually physically seeing somebody wanting to get the kid into a van. So now we're talking about kids interacting with predators online, which through a computer screen, what's the worst thing that can happen? Like what types of things should we actually be worried about?
Okay. So I do want to call out, though, that there are still people trying to get kids in vans. I mean, that is still happening. And in fact, that does end up being one of the ultimate end games, even though the process starts online. So getting to that child physically often is an end game that they're after. So what can happen to them while they're on their computer? I have seen these children be convinced that they're in love. I've seen these children be convinced that they are better off without their parents. So they're going to try to separate them from their support system. We see and have recently seen when the grooming begins and that they start with that isolation process, they start raising doubts to the children about the parents. And that's where that isolation, they start to draw them away. We've also seen things such as a child being forced or thinking that they're being forced into performing for an audience on their webcam. And of course, if they're told if they don't do these things, their parents will be hurt, or their little brother or sister will be hurt, or they're going to, send pictures out to their friends. So there's all of these things that a child doesn't necessarily have the capability of thinking things through, not because they're not intelligent. It's just because they haven't had the years of experience that we as adults have. And in fact, as sad as it is, we also see this happen to adults, especially as they get older with romance scams and things like that. So it's in our human nature to want to belong and to want to please others. And so this is a vulnerability that they will try to exploit if they can. Did that answer your question?
It did. And even as an adult, I think sometimes I know when I first got involved in even trying to form ILF, it was because I never thought that this was a big problem here. I thought when you heard about child trafficking, it was a third world problem. You had to go to another country, and that's where it happened. I didn't realize that 60% of the world's child pornography is made in this country. Like that was a mind blowing fact when I found that out. So let's bounce off of what you just said. Now, let's say this does happen. Child gets victimized. They fall for one of these things. What do they do?
You got to talk to your parents, or you got to talk to someone you trust. And that person you trust needs to be a trusted adult. Sadly, Patrick, you were talking about the white van again, right? We were all raised on the stranger danger thing. Well, when it comes to physical abuse, 93% comes from friends and family. Mm. And that's a horrible statistic that nobody ever wants to talk about. So the person that the child needs to talk to isn't always the parent or the family. It could be a teacher. It could be someone that the child has trust with. And you, as the parent and the caregiver, you need to give them permission to be able to speak to someone that they trust. You can't always assume that it's always going to be you, even though that may hurt a bit.
And I think what you also just brought up about the stranger danger makes a whole lot of sense, especially when you start looking at to how it works today. Because in these social games online, these predators aren't strangers. These predators are people that might have been interacting with the child for weeks, for months, maybe even years, making the child think that they are their best friend, that they are best for that child, that they might be just like them, that they might also be the same gender, same age, all those types of things. Is that something that you see being done a lot, where it's not so much a stranger, that they build up that rapport over time?
Well, that is absolutely out of the playbook. I mean, that is exactly what happens. So once they've got someone that they're targeting, the next step is to start gaining information, right? They want to know more about your child. They want to know their likes, their dislikes. And when they do that, one of the next things that they do is they also begin to look for a need that your child has. And that need doesn't have to be money or drugs or anything else. It can just be the desire to have someone to listen to them, because mom and dad aren't listening, or they're too busy, or they don't understand me. And then all of a sudden, here this person swoops in who's a couple years older. They've been there. Hey, I know what you're going through. My mom and dad, etc. They're going to become anything they need to become to get your child talking. As they're talking, as they're becoming their friend, that's when that isolation part starts to happen. They start to pull away from the family. Once they feel like they have them isolated to a degree that they've got confidence, that's when the control starts. Once that control starts, that's when the abuse starts, and it starts to cycle. And so that is literally, Patrick, the way it happens, play by play, over and over.
So, let's go back to some of the horrible stats you said, but let's say a child is listening to this podcast, a teenager listening to this podcast, and they have sadly been a victim of one of these terrible attacks, and they just cannot talk to their parents. Maybe they don't have a good relationship, or their parents are abusive, or whatever is the case. Then where can they go to get help so they don't feel so alone and just continue in that path?
There has to be someone in their life as an adult who they can sit down and talk to. They don't even have to like them, but they do have to have trust in them. It can be a teacher that you respect. It can be a school counselor that you respect. These are all avenues that you have to be able to speak to someone who's an adult who can get you help. If you're just speaking to your peers online, what makes you so sure they're your peers, or that they have the wisdom to guide you where you need to go? So I can't imagine being in a position like that, but you must have someone to lean on.
Okay, now let's switch that up. Let's say we're a parent listening to this episode, and I, for the first time, even start hearing that some of this stuff exists. What is the proper thing for a parent to do if their child gets victimized?
So if your child is already being victimized, you need to contact the police. You need to contact an authority who has the ability to do something about it. Now that's step one. That authority could end up being a school counselor to guide you. It could end up being your local police. It could end up being a federal officer, depending on what the crime is. If you have gone through this and you're not getting the help you need, you can always fill out a request form on the Innocent Lives Foundation. We will do our best to take a look, see if we can offer any type of assistance. That assistance is often getting you connected with someone that we have a connection with, who can put you two together and get the process moving forward.
What do the parents do like, how should they prepare themselves to deal with their child? Like, did they just say, listen, well, you were stupid. You fell for this scam. Like how, like, as a parent, I've never had to deal with this. Fortunately, I'm trying to think about how angry I'd be, not at my kid, how angry I would be about the person who victimized my child, and how sad I would be and scared. What do I do with all of that? And what's the best thing that parents should do for their kids at that moment?
The best thing you can do at that moment is to be stable. The reality is that, yeah, maybe your kid did something stupid. Look, Chris, did you ever do anything stupid when you were a kid?
Yeah, once or twice, maybe. Or
I've heard some of the stories. I'm surprised you're alive.
Yeah.
Right?
I was pretty dumb. I would say I would classify my teenage years as not a gleaming example of intelligence.
All right. Patrick, what about you?
Oh, probably on a daily basis, I would say.
Okay, all right. And me too. So why would we possibly think our kids were not going to go out and do anything like that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we want to hope that they're going to be better than us. That's what we want. But I know it's not reality, right?
It's not reality. And look, that's the way we learned, right? And our kids are going to learn by doing these things. So we, as the parent or as the caregiver, we have to be the stabilizing force in their life. Mm. Yes, they may have done something incredibly stupid. They don't need to hear that from you. What they need to hear from you is that everything's going to be okay. We're going to work on this together, and that I still love you. Now let's go tackle this together and let's work on it. And as a parent, someone touches my kid or someone does something to my kid, yeah, I am going to be really upset, right? And I think everyone here gets that. But you can't let your kids see that. You're there. You served them at this point, and that's all there is to it. Don't get angry. Don't let them see it. Look, if you have to, tell them you're going to go take a breather. Walk away. Go mile down the road and scream your head off. Come back collected. Figure out what you're going to do to make this work and take care of your child. That's what you have to do. So the stability is critical.
So that's what you do to support the child. Now, how about from the legal perspective? What types of things are the law enforcement going to look for? What types of records or artifacts should you as a parent be looking for in order to hand over to law enforcement?
So that's a great question, because a lot of times the first thing a parent will do is just delete, and they start wanting to get rid of everything. And all you're doing is making it incredibly difficult for law enforcement to do anything. So you tell your child to stop communicating with that person. Remind your child that they don't owe that person any explanation ever. You block the person from continuing to reach out to them. You never delete anything. Then you start the conversation. But for God's sakes, don't get rid of stuff. Even though that's going to make you feel better immediately and emotionally, it's one of the worst things that you can do for the case.
I love that. Was a great question, because I think that one of the things that we've noticed working with ILF is that parents get so afraid, like those pictures are out there, that they think deleting them off of their account or the phone is gonna save it, but that could be the very thing that helps stop the predator. So that was really good advice, Shane, to give to parents in hearing this. Is there anything else that you would want parents to know, or kids to know if they're listening to this, that you think is vital for them to have as knowledge on this topic?
I do. Especially if your child approaches you about something that is clearly predatory. The first thing you need to do as a parent is believe them, right? I've had so many people go, yeah, what if your kid's lying? So what? Kids lie. You'll find out later. Number one, right now, believe them. Number two, ensure them that predatory behavior is never their fault. They did not do this. Even if they did something silly, okay? The predator is doing this to them. So you guys have to both be on the same side, believe your child, and be sure your child knows that this is never their fault when an adult preys on a child.
That's some really great things for parents to hear, people to, and for children to hear. So, tell us, I don't want to end on something so heavy, right? Because it's, we don't want to leave it like a little light, but this topic is sadly, it's not light, and we don't want to make light of it, because if you or anyone is going through something on this topic, there is no lightness there. It is a heavy topic. But
right.
Maybe in closing, tell us a little more about some of the new. I know we have some new releases on ILF's YouTube channel. We have some new. I think I was talking to one of our volunteers last night about this great new relationship with a Twitch streaming group that's supporting ILF. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about some of the new things happening at ILF that could be exciting to hear.
So really two things happening there. We're doing everything that we can to raise awareness in different channels and in different communities. So one of these is a car racing group, and it's all online. It's gaming, and they're on Twitch. And for the entire season 2, they are supporting the ILF with donations. And so that is literally just, look, they heard about the org as a group. They got together and they said, we love what you're doing. We want to support you. And we're doing everything we can to facilitate that. We have another lady who happens to be a huge fan of Clutch. And she has gone out, and because she has a Facebook group with all these folks who love Clutch, she's doing fundraising for us and has raised over $6,000 already.
Really? We're up to that?
And yeah, we are. And This is because everybody has memorabilia and little things, and so they're like, you know what? I'll donate this. And then people will go, okay, then they'll buy their raffle tickets and so forth. And it adds up. We had someone one time raise almost $1,000 at a Super Bowl party by putting out basically a tip jar and asking people to help. Right. So it doesn't have to be a gala. It doesn't have to be anything huge. And it's all very much appreciated. The other thing we're doing is we just went up and we filmed a series of videos. And these videos are short. They're to the point and they're direct. And as they continue to come out, they're all going to be on our YouTube channel. And then we will start pushing those out to social media. We'll start putting them on our website. One of those is about understanding. It's from our therapist, Aaron. What are the signs of this type of abuse that you should be looking for in the behavior of your child? You can learn an amazing amount in 2 minutes, and it's a great place to get you started and to get you thinking and to raise your awareness. So now you can go and you can make more informed decisions about maybe something that's not setting quite right in your gut. These are all things that are important as a parent and even as a child. Maybe you're in high school and you're seeing a change in behavior in one of your dearest friends. It's important to understand how humans work.
I think you just described a few different ways that people have supported the ILF. If somebody is first hearing about the ILF now and they want to do something, they want to join, they want to help, what is the best way that somebody can help the ILF?
So the best way you can help, obviously, is donations, because look, we're a nonprofit. This is how we survive, is on the generosity and the kindness of others. So go to innocentlivesfoundation.org and donate. Preferably, ideally, set up a small monthly donation. That helps us smooth out the valleys and the peaks when it comes to seasons and donating, and allows us to do a much better job of delivering services to law enforcement, especially in the identification part. If you would like to volunteer, we are always looking for volunteers. We have different types of openings that we have. And you could just send us a contact request and then let us know what you're thinking. We'll see if there's an opportunity or position to fill.
You said ideally that people can set up a recurring monthly small donation. I think more ideally they can set up a monthly large donation.
Okay, you and I were going to say the same thing, Patrick, because he said a small, and I'm like, how about just setting up like a really large monthly donation? If you really want to help us stop predators, then,
Yeah, no, look, this is true. We're also, we've just added a couple more options. You can donate stock now, I believe. We're getting ready to be able to start with a company that will guide you through putting us into a will. So there's all these different little areas that we're looking at, and we also are going to consider accepting crypto. So there's tons of options and different ways to give, and our job is to make it as easy for you to do that as possible. It doesn't always have to be a grand gesture, but we do have people who donate what I would consider a considerable amount, 100, 150. Actually, we have a donor who donates over $1,000 a month. This is critical to us being able to do our job and provide these services.
Yeah. I last night I got a chance to sit in the race, the Twitch racing team. And I'm old, guys. I had no clue that the graphics in these things, I thought I was watching like an actual TV channel with a NASCAR race. I'm like, this is a video game? Like, what the heck? These things look like real cars. And they do such a great job, those guys over there. And they're all dads. This is why they're in love with the mission. Such great support. We'll put a link to that in the show notes. And then the cooking, if you're a fan of Clutch, the Cooking with Clutch group, you can join that Facebook group. Those people over there, I'm telling you, Neil Fallon has brought together mass amounts of people from around the globe, and everyone loves that band. And they spend half the time talking about what they're making for dinner while listening to what song on Clutch and then helping us out. It's really awesome. And we'll also put a link to that, and we'll put a link to the new videos and the YouTube channel in the show notes too, so that way people can find them. That one that Aaron did is phenomenal. And we had a privilege of working with a wonderful studio in New Jersey called Inception Studios. The professional team there, along with Dave Brodsky and Ali Wost as our production team. They did amazing work on those. I just can't get over how good they made us look, especially this. Like, they made me look like I was half human. It was unbelievable.
I walked into that place and I could not believe the quality of what we saw in that studio, and that we were about to walk onto that green screen and those giant monitors behind us. And I don't know, that just never crossed my mind that we as the ILF would have the opportunity to be able to produce something like this. It literally blew me away.
Yeah, it was the generosity of strangers is an amazing thing to me at times. But
and by the way, when I say produce, we didn't do anything but get up there and talk. Yeah, there's a whole lot of talent happening behind those cameras. And everything else that is going on.
We spoke words. The actual all the work went on after that. Shane, thank you so much. This topic is an important one. All three of us here are dads. So we have to navigate this, and many of our listeners are parents, moms, dads, grandparents, caregivers. This is a super important topic today. And, for me personally, thank you for all that you do, in this mission that you do to help keep ILF going strong. And, maybe we can have another update to this, once in a while to have you back on, because this information is something I think that we can always share. So I really, really appreciate you coming on the show today.
I appreciate you guys inviting me. Thank you so much.
Okay, Patrick, I'm going to ask, because I know one day you're going to slip up, but everyone's wondering, what's our topic for next month, man?
All right. So I think this month I'm going to slip up a little bit, and I'm going to, for next month, our topic is going to be, you got to check in next month to actually find out what that is. I'm not telling you.
I don't even get to know.
I'm not telling you.
Look, no way. I'm your boss. Tell me what the topic is.
No way. No, we don't use that kind of social engineering here. Remember?
I know.
No threatening pretext.
I didn't threaten. I just said something that was true. I'm your boss. Then give me the topic.
Yes, the threat was implied, understood. But no, I am not giving out next month's topic just yet. You got to tune in next month to hear what that is.
Okay, Patrick. Dang ya. Thank you again for another. Thank you for thinking of this. This was a really great episode. So, everyone, we will see you next month. Have a good month. See you.